Wow, thank you. So welcome everybody here live. So grateful to have you here live in the room because that really adds to the energy of what we talk about. And welcome to everybody watching on the replay, because I know there were lots of people who couldn't make it live but really wanted to find out what I had to say. So I'm really honoured that you all took the time out of your day to show up here for yourselves, actually, because I really feel like I've come up with something that worked amazingly for me in terms of like life change. I was in a really bad place a few years ago, and I didn't see that there was going to be a way out of that. And the little inner voice inside me said, "No, I'm not having that. You are gonna change the situation." And I knew it wasn't going to be an overnight thing. I knew it wasn't going to be a quick like bam and there you go. But I'm here now. I'm not in that situation anymore. The time passed. If I hadn't taken the action that I am going to talk to you about today, I would still be in that situation. So what I would love to ask you all, first of all, is like what's drawn you here? What is the life change that you want to make? Let's declare it here, and we will kind of beam our energy into that to power it up. So do feel free to just type in the chat what it is that you want to change in your life, whether it's something about your business, love, health, whatever it is. This system will work for all of it. Okay. I say system, it's really sort of a download. It's really a download that when I made the changes, I didn't kind of realize what was happening, but in retrospect I pieced it together, and in conversation with somebody, actually it came to. So let me go into a little bit. Sorry, I've got a bit of hay fever. And do tell me if I talk too fast, because when I'm in this kind of spotlight place, I can talk a bit fast out of nerves. So I will try to keep it slow. But if you want me to repeat anything, then just say. So less money stress. Excellent. Yeah. So business, cool. Balance. So is that balancing work, life, love, all of it? All of the above. Less money stress. Lost my way, feel stuck. Yeah, just reconnected. Yes. And yeah, it's been great reconnecting with you, Sue. Sorry, Suzanne, isn't it? I don't know why I said Sue. I think it was from school when I think people used to call you Sue a lot then. Growing a business, yeah, age-old problem. There always is a nugget, Erica, and I'm sure you're going to be able to find something to pass on to your girls. So thank you so much. It's lovely to see your smiley, shiny face, and hopefully we'll get to have a chat later on in the show, in the whatever this is, meeting, I don't know, webinar, workshop, all the above. Yeah, figuring it all out and staying on track. Well, that is the age-old problem of life, isn't it? Becoming more visible. Okay, that's really interesting that you say that, becoming more visible, because this is in this title, Glow the Fuck Up. It was just something that came to me and it just stuck in my brain, and I was going to do a whole program called Glow the Fuck Up, but I thought, no, this is the workshop, because the program will become evident at the end. This is like a continuation of this work. Now some of you may take this information and go, right, got it, I can run with this. I'm gonna run and work with that. But then some of you may think, well, that sounds great, but I just need some support in that. And that's where we can work at later. I'm not going to sort of hide the fact that I'm going to present you a very exciting, I think, opportunity. But there you go. I'll talk about that later. So where I was, so like lockdown, right? COVID, the gifts of the pandemic. So many people had massive realizations. And for me, that realization was I had completely lost who I was. I'd been married to a guy for 20 years who was completely unaligned with me. But because I was such a people pleaser, especially when we got together, and I was very young when we got together, I just kind of had this strange faulty thinking, limiting belief that everybody else knew better than me, even about myself. So I would spend my whole life doing things based upon what other people wanted me to do, and ended up in me being burned out, depressed, anxious. I remember at one point when I had the last job that I worked, actually, before I completely burned out and thought, I'm not doing this anymore, fuck this shit. I was being sick every single morning before work. I would go and clean my teeth, and just having the toothbrush in my mouth was enough to just promote that gag reflex. And I played so small, I hid, I didn't want to do confrontation. I acted from fear in most scenarios. And it was a pretty poor shit show, to be honest with you. And there was a point where for the first time in my whole life by this point, and I was maybe about 33 years old, so crikey, we're going back 15 years. I applied for sickness benefit because I was completely unable to work. I was paralyzed with the anxiety and depression, and the little voice inside me said, well, you're not going to stay in this situation for the rest of your life, so let's buck up and let's see what we can do. And so little by little I started on this journey, and that started me into my first business from the rat race of corporate, where I burned out, I was on the sick. I was like, I'm not going back into that environment again because I might actually die. Then moving into being an entrepreneur. So that was great, but I was still in this marriage, which I knew for years was not the right thing. But the longer you stay in a marriage that feels stifling and trapped, the harder it is to escape. And by the time I actually made that decision that I had to leave, I thought, well, look, I'm so embroiled in this situation now, financially, primarily, that it's really, really hard to leave. And then that little voice piped up again and said, well, yeah, but the longer you stay, the harder it's going to get. So the easiest time to leave is now. The easiest time to leave would have been 15, 20 years ago, but the next best time is now. So apply that to any change you want to make that you've been thinking about making. It's not necessarily going to be instant if it's so far removed from your reality now, but do the steps, the little steps, the daily little things that add up to a whole big picture. I was watching this YouTube video the other day about quantum leaping, and I'd heard about the concept but hadn't known the details. And so I watched this video, and I was sitting there looking at it and going, this is the exact process I'm planning on talking about in my workshop. So if you're not aware of quantum leaping, anyone heard of quantum leaping? Yeah, bit of yes, bit of no. Awesome. So it is really about aligning back into your soul's purpose, or the life that you truly desire. And I would say to you that if it's something you truly, truly desire, then that is your life's purpose. And a lot of us lose sight of what that purpose is, because so often we've been told we can't have that for whatever reason by perfectly well-meaning people, sometimes not so well-meaning people. But a lot of the time you're told things that are complete bullshit because they're from somebody else's perspective and not yours. And you've got to know your truth in order to move forward in alignment. And that's the key, is the alignment. Okay. So let's talk some practical steps here. And this is steps. Now, you've got your journal, and I have, like I say, I've not prepared any slides. I kind of thought I might, but then I didn't. So there we go. Let's do fashioned way. We've got lovely Hayley coming in to join us. So let's do this the old-fashioned way. So you've all got your pieces of paper and your pen. Feel free to use nice colours if you've got them available. But the basics are, what I want you to do is draw a 4-step staircase. So it's going to look something like that. Okay. Now, at the bottom step, and feel free to make notes around this, however you resonate, is your outer world. That is everything in the world around you, your house, the people around you, your job, your work, how much money you have, all of the physical things that are outside of you. Okay. The cup that you drink. I mean, you're not going to put the cup that you drink on the list, but like the work that you do, this is how your life manifests around you. So for my previous reality, that was unhappy marriage, business that was an interesting training ground into business, but not not what I was meant to be doing. It was a step on my path. It was definitely a part of my learning, because it allows me to work with my clients on their businesses now. So that's your outer world. Now I'm going to jump to the top step, because this is where we need to access our wisdom. And the top step is your higher self. This was the promise of the workshop. So what you've got here is outer world, higher self. Now, in the middle of that, those middle two steps, this is where shit gets sticky, okay? And this is where things stop us from creating our soul's purpose life. Okay, so I'm going to fast track you to start on the road to the things you want to achieve in your life. If there's things that you thought, I always wish I'd done that, like on a big scale, this is going to give you the steps. So amazing. So on the second to last step, above the outer world, is your boundaries and interactions. Okay, so I've just written boundaries, but it is basically, that is how you interact with the outside world. Okay, all the things that you, the way you speak to people, the way you interact with people, the way you allow people to interact with you. And I say allow people to interact with you because you teach people how to treat you. So if somebody's treating you bad in your life, you've allowed that to happen. And I say that purely from experience, because I let my ex-husband treat me like shit. And now he doesn't, because he's not in my world anymore, but that's another story. I did give him many chances. Through asserting those boundaries, it became clear that he was not going to stop crossing those boundaries. And so therefore, having done the inner work, which is in the missing step that we've got here, this is your thoughts, your feelings, now I would say behaviors, but they actually leap into the the boundaries part, excuse me. So your thoughts, so your higher self. So can you see what's going on here? Does this make sense to everybody, why this is happening this way? And I will give an example. Basically your thoughts and your feelings and the boundaries is where shit gets all clogged up. And a lot of the time, what we think we want from life has come in from the outside, from the outer world. It's coming up that staircase, okay? And it affects your boundaries. You allow things in that are not yours because we think this is the thing to do. And none of this is anybody's fault. It's society and the way the industrialized society is now. But it stops us from accessing our higher self. It stops us from listening to our higher self because all that stuff around us is a lot louder. So tapping into your higher self on a regular basis is crucial to getting the direction, the keys, the wisdom that you need to create your best life and raising your vibration. So at this point, I just wanted to do a quick, very quick meditation, visualization, just to connect with your higher self, just to see how this makes you feel how this interaction happens for you. Okay, so when I breathe in my stuff, we breathe through the nose, and that's because it stimulates the vagus nerve. We don't do any mouth breathing out or in. So we're going to breathe in for a count of 5, hold it for 2, and out for a count of 7. So in, hold, out, 7. Once more. So in your mind, you are standing in a beautiful garden. And you look across the garden, across a beautiful lawn, and on a bench is sitting the most beautiful woman you've ever seen. Or man, if you're a man. And you go over to sit next to her on the bench. Now, as you get closer, you realize that this person is you. But it is the you that has done all the things that you wanted to do in your life, but never did. The one who has achieved all the things you ever wanted to achieve. The one who has all the success you desire, all the love you desire, all the money you desire. So I just want you to have a look and see what she looks like. And then you're going to have a sit down next to her, and you have a nice hug. And then you're going to just spend a moment and ask her what advice she has for you to go from where you are to where she is. Just going to give you a moment to have that conversation. Okay, now give her a final hug. And I want you to pull her tight into your heart space, to keep her in there forever, to access when you need to talk back to her, check in with her for advice. And then you walk away from the bench, out of the garden, and back into your body and into this room again. Wiggle your fingers and toes. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. So take a moment to write down any revelations that you had from that contact there. And feel free to share in the chat anything that that stands out to you that you feel would, be of benefit to the group. Hey Wendy, sorry, we were just doing a little meditation there when you were waiting, so I don't want to interrupt them. So that's a really cool reference point for you. I would like to know, it would be cool to know what kind of advice you received from your higher self. That was your higher self, by the way, that you just met there. What kind of advice did you get from her? Feel free to type into the chat. Because, there are lots and lots of things that block that access. Our boundaries, our thoughts and feelings. Those two things really are the bits where the, yeah. Okay, what have we got here? So there was a few have come through private, so that's cool. So I won't reveal who said it, but so we've got stop being afraid of success. Yeah, that is a big one. A lot of people think that we fear failure, but actually what we fear more is success. And there's a big piece there around the witch wound, especially for women, because in the witch trials era and all of that, and even now, when a successful woman appears and pops her head up, what happens? It's not the same as what happens to men. It's she gets all the attack and the jealousy and the spiteful comments about things like her weight and other things that are completely irrelevant to her value as a human being. Oh, isn't she looking old these days? Well, yeah, well, because she's got some numbers on her age, but that doesn't mean anything about her value. So being successful means that you're in that position of being shot at, but that doesn't make any difference to your value. So yeah, we're not afraid of failure, we're afraid of success. I think that is one thing that holds women back more than anything. But so don't change, but use skills to help others. Stop being afraid that all humans are nasty. Yeah, because they're not. We've got a room full of non-nasty humans right here. We've got a room full of really beautiful souls. And I know you are, because you would not have registered for this workshop, given that page that I wrote, if you were a nasty human being. You're all good people. So have more self-belief, absolutely. Believe in yourself. But okay, so that's the self-belief piece. That is around your thoughts and feelings and your boundaries and actions. I'm going to call that one, actually, that third step down, because your actions and thoughts and feelings really tied together. If you think I'm going to do this thing, and then you come to do it and then you don't do it, that chips away at your self-belief. And the more you do that, it chips away at self-belief. And we can end up feeling like we're actually rubbish at something when that's not the case. So the way to rebuild that is just with the tiniest of things at first, is just start to do things that you promised you will do for yourself. And that sounds really simple, and it is simple. It's not necessarily very easy, but all the best advice is on that formula. So go for it. Absolutely. What is holding us back? Don't listen to the doubters. Put blinkers on and move forward and go for it. Yeah, absolutely. Doubters, like, so in business, we don't speak our message so often because we're afraid of the criticism that comes. However, why do you worry about what they think? If you've got haters or criticizers, block them. They are not your people. Maybe you've triggered them, and maybe you've planted a seed for them to go and deal with somebody else. They're not somebody that has to come into your world, but maybe you've planted something that will help them in their future, but it's not for you. It's not for you to pay any attention to them. What the people you want to speak to are the people who are ready and willing to hear your message. And so the more brave and honest you are with that, the better. Okay. Sorry for my hay fever. It's very annoying that it should happen today. But there we are. So unexpected, but to put yourself out there, try things, have experiences, interact with life, look after you. Perfect. I love that so much. And it's not really unexpected, because that is really what your higher self is crying out for you to do constantly. So yeah, it's changing setting. Okay. Don't change, but use skills to help others. Stop being afraid, or humans are nasty. Yes. I read that one out before. So visibility and consistency, self-belief. Yes. Consistency, like, and consistency doesn't need to be like an enormous thing every day. It's just a little thing that takes you further. If you look at the maths, and I'm not a mathematician, so I can't tell you the final calculation, but somebody who is more of a mathematician, feel free to do this. If you are 1% better or 1% outside of your comfort zone every single day, just 1%, how much further have you progressed over the course of 1 year? If somebody can find the answer to that and pop it in the chat, I'd be grateful. If somebody here is a mathematician, because I'm not. I know it's a big, big number and a lot bigger than you would think. Okay, from where you are now to where you will be, it's many, many times, like more further on. So what's I don't mean blinkers so you don't see, so you keep your focus. Yeah, like those things they put on racehorses, they put them here so you keep your focus. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. No, I just had somebody there co-working. That's fine. I mean, I'm only at this point, I'm only going to be asking for comments in the chat. So that's really interesting. Like, so clearly your higher self knows the way. This is the point. What I want to ask you now is, do you have a clear vision of what you want from your life? And if so, what is that? Are you doing the thing? It's just not really like working as you hoped it would. Because there's a couple of pieces that could be happening here. Or actually, do you have dreams of doing something entirely different, but you don't feel like that's possible? And be honest, this is a safe space. So waiting for some things to come through on that, but I've not. Do I have a clear vision? Well, that's interesting. Well, Emma, you know, always wanted to be a counsellor, but health and mental health blocked me. You know, the best counsellors I've ever come across are those who have also fought their own mental health journey. So when your time comes, you are going to be like the fucking counsellor to go to because you have fought the battle that people are fighting. What's the point in going to a counsellor who has no idea what mental health is about in the trenches? Like, what can they teach you? Nothing. They can teach you some techniques, but they can't teach you like the real lived experience of it. Yes, number one in the UK in your business, in the because you're part of a global company thing. But Erica, I want to pick on you a little bit there because I know that there's more in you, and you may think, what more is there? What's the reason behind that? Okay, it's not about being number one in your business, in your company. It's not about that. What is the driving force of that desire?
It's actually not about, because we've done it a few times this year in each month. It's because at the end of the year, you get a speech which inspires everybody. And I take it this will not go any further. The person who will make the speech this year is not inspiring. So I feel people are getting cheated.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm telling you, it's all about the microphone, the stage, and inspiring others to go off and do what they do and what they,
Mm-hmm.
to do. But my second one was I want a dash hunt.
Well, like there's plenty of dogs in dog rescue, so and plenty of dog breeders, and I'm pretty sure you'll be able to find the right one. So what's stopping you from that?
The dash hunt.
Mm.
Or the dash hunt, as I have to move, I can't have one where I live.
Okay.
So it means I have to go somewhere. And I want a garden. I want to sit out on a day like today, coffee in the sunshine, because I'm actually cat sitting this week. So I'm somewhere where there is a garden and I love it. And I love gardening. And that's what I want to spend my life doing, is just diddling about in the garden with a little dash hunt. But it means moving house to do it. Yeah.
So I want a dog has just turned into I want to move house.
It has to, yeah.
More reason than just a dog.
Well, I want the dog is the main bit. I'd like a little dash hunt, but in order to do that, I have to move because I can't have one where I live at the moment.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Do you see how like all these decisions have like these knock-on effects? And yeah, it's not like more to do, because if you desire it, you will be magically transported there when you start to take action towards that. I'm just going to mute you again, Erica. Sorry, not sorry, but thank you for that. I was, yeah, it won't go any further than anybody who kind of registered for this. So unless your whole team registered and they know who you're talking about, then you're quite okay. Secret safe with me anyway. Yeah, so like the little thing, like I want a dog, actually opened up into a bigger thing of I want to live in a different place, you know, for various reasons. I want a garden. I want to be able to sit out in the sunshine. So those are little things, but actually, Erica, what I would argue is your actual driving force behind what you do is about making women feel better about themselves. It's not about standing on a stage. It's not about being number one in your company. It's about empowering women. I mean, when I met you, Erica, you were leading a networking group called Empowered Women. So that speaks volumes. That is your driving force. And I think that's true of a lot of us. I think so many of us here are about maybe not just women, empowering people, making people's lives better. That's what we're here for. That's what we're all here for, right? Tell me in the chat if anybody is not here to make the world a better place, because you're probably in the wrong place if that's the case. So, same as Alka. So yeah, that you do not have a clear vision. Cool. Well, then you're in the right place, because this is what we do. So do what I love and need to do more of it. Yeah. So it's getting that message out there. And for some reason, Julie, you're not being vocal enough about it, or there's something about your messaging that you're holding back on. There's going to be something in there. There's maybe some witch wound piece, which, you know, we women, we are rubbish at shouting about ourselves. I can tell you there has been a journey for me to get to the place where I can sit here and tell you, look, I have achieved something and I want to share how I did it with you, because it's something really fucking important. And if more people kind of realize what the process is here, we can unlock greatness in so many people, because each of you, if I can unlock these pieces in you, you will go off and in your own ways unlock those pieces in other people. And it's the ripple effect of making the world a better place. And it starts with you. It starts with me, starts with you. And if I sit here and hide myself and go, oh my God, well, nobody wants to hear me, then nobody ever finds this information. So feeling aligned with my vision, I like to monetize it more. Absolutely. Well, when it's your vision and you're aligned with it and you take that step, the universe. So let me just, before I go to, let me know, I'll go through more comments and then I'll tell you my story, or one story of how the universe conspires for you. So I need to control my empathy and not connect too much with the client. There is nothing wrong with empathy. That's about a boundary, Emma. You know, we can all have compassion and empathy and feel people's pain. That's part of your gift. That's part of your superpower. But having the boundary in place is the important thing. So it doesn't get, I don't know, there's a word for that coming to me at the moment. So wanted action, so with my hand about the option with the garden. Okay, we did that. Here's what I do. Oh, lost that. What I do is aligned with my purpose and vision. Amazing. Good. But you're here because it's not making you enough money. Is that right? So like, it's like yeah, and let's be honest, that is aligned with, if you have a purpose and a vision, you want to spread that to as many people as possible. And when you do that, then the financial reward comes, because you're helping people and they want to pay you for your skills and your abilities. But if we don't tell people in the way that's going to hit them, then they kind of don't realize that they need that kind of help. So Cassie says, kinda not doing anything really, working towards my kinda plan, then got sidetracked. I would argue, Cassie, that your sole purpose, what I'm reading in that, if you're getting sidetracked, then you don't want it enough. It's not your true desire. Your true desire, you've been led to believe you can't have it, and so you've lost hope of it. But I would love to bring you back round to focusing on that what you want. And it may not be. So when I grew up, when I was growing up, my famous little story, this is my pity party story of when I was a child, I wanted to do ballet classes. But my sister, who was 8 years older than me, and as much chalk to my cheese as anything is possible, uh, she went to ballet classes and didn't like it. So when it was my turn, my mum said, "No, I'm not sending you to ballet classes because you won't like it because your sister didn't like it. So I'm going to send you to brownies instead." Because that's the same thing as dance classes, isn't it? I was bored shitless by brownies, and it was not me at all. I didn't get on very well with it at all. Um, and I never did go to dance. When I became an adult, I could pay for my own damn dance classes. I went to dance classes, and I was really good at it, and I really fucking enjoyed it. But when you're 25, it's not the same. You can't form a dance career out of that. Do you know what I mean? You've got to be doing it when you're 5. So there we go. But hey ho, I still found some joy in that activity, even though it was a strong desire. But my strong desire, actually, and desire and skill, like I'm sitting here talking to you guys, I feel no fear of that. I feel very on purpose. I feel like I've got something important to tell you. And yeah, I mean, if you don't feel a bit of nerves before you start these things, then you're not a human being. But I don't feel like that, oh my God, which at one point in my life I did. I was very nervous the first time I went live on Facebook, and it was a complete, I won't say the word, well, I might do. But now when I go live on Facebook, it's like falling off a log to me. It's, I've got over my fear of it, but I felt a very strong desire to do it. And it's all about being in that public eye for something. I've got something to say, and that's the key driver. That's why I don't get nervous, because I'm like this. I trust now that spirit has told me something to say to people that people need to hear, and the right people will come to hear it. So where are we? Wendy, keep aligning to my purpose and my passion more and more. I've recently narrowed down my niche to focus on mums struggling with postpartum depression. I've walked the walk and I'm excited to be starting this new chapter to help mums. Absolutely, that's wonderful, and that is a great. I feel like I'm about to sneeze. Yeah, that's a great purpose to have, and it's something that you've experienced yourself, and it's something you can really help people with in that sense. So discovered this year that only one woman started a business for every 2 men. My goal is to change that uneven balance, yes, because the women I know, they're so sharp and capable. So why are 2 women not opening business for every man? That's my goal this year. Yeah, I love that. More independence for women, because we are on the rise. And I'm not like saying, listen, burn men at the stake, burn up. It's about redressing a balance, really. Men and women, we have a role to play in this world as equal as the other. But there's this wounded masculine energy still hanging around in the patriarchal society that really needs to kind of get left to the side now. That's what leads to narcissists taking over the world, and that's got to end, and that's going to end in this new paradigm that's coming through. I'm sure of it, if I have anything to do with it anyway. So I still have limiting beliefs that stop me from being visible. Yeah, and that's that piece in the middle there, that interaction and the thoughts. So your business and why has to resonate with your audience. Absolutely, it does. It has to have a point to it. So moving house is scary, and I wouldn't do it, but I did it and it scared the shit out of me. Which leads nicely to my little story, which I will say very quickly, and then we will wrap up because I'm conscious of time and that some of you have lives to crack on with. So some of you all have lives to crack on with. What am I talking about? So yeah, when I left my toxic marriage 2 years ago, almost to the day now, I was conscious that other people had ended their marriages but felt stuck in the house because they couldn't afford to move. And that was definitely a consideration. I did not know where my money was going to come from. Apart from I was starting on my own doing this, an early version of what I do now for people, but it was more focused around website content writing, which was an extension of the business that I was running before, which was web design. So it kind of evolved from that into what I'm doing now. Whatever that is, I'm not entirely sure yet. So we agreed to split up. And when you're dealing with a covert narcissist, you kind of have to get that agreement. Otherwise, it's just way too blocked and difficult. So I rationalized with him and said, right, okay, we're going anyway. And then 1 month later, just 1 month later, I got the keys to my new place. And I know people who end up stuck in those situations for 2+ years. But every day I felt stuck, I went, okay, what can I do now to just move the situation forward? So, like finding a fridge, it's a silly thing, but how can I find a fridge? So I made a few inquiries. They went a bit flat, and then I was like, oh my God. And then a friend of mine who heard about what I was doing said, oh, by the way, I've got a fridge if you want one. No charge. You can just take it off my hands. Wonderful. So I wasn't going to sit there without a fridge when I moved in. So I moved in fully furnished in like a week. Me in a van. I was terrified of driving that van. I live in France, for those who don't know. And I'd only driven a little tiny Clio as a left-hand drive. Before that, I'd still driven a right-hand drive car. Drove this little Clio for like 2 weeks before I got into a massive Peugeot Boxer van, left-hand drive, driving around the Brittany countryside with roads that wide. And I was really shitting it at the beginning of that week. But by the end of that week, I did not want to give that van back. I loved driving that van. I felt like an absolute queen of the road. So it's amazing what you can do when it's aligned action to get you where you want to be. So Wendy, yeah, saying yes, because Wendy is from Canada, but she now lives in Egypt with her husband. And yeah, she's super happy there. So if you didn't do it, it didn't matter enough. Yeah, there's a point to that, but you also regret more what you didn't do than what you did. Obviously, that doesn't apply to everything. You may regret committing a crime, for example, okay, yeah, if nothing changes, nothing changes. Yeah, and you're not going to get different results from doing the same thing over and over again. So does all this make sense? Do you get in the idea of how you can chip away and the kind of things that get in the way of you accessing your higher self? And for those of you who have a clear vision of what you want to do, there's maybe just some, it's like, think of it, your river of abundance. If you've got this model here, like if you're trying to make change from the bottom up, like, oh, I want to lose weight, so I'm going to do different diet and exercise. That's kind of got to go uphill. And when we lose motivation, when it starts hurting and when it feels too hard, or you just can't be bothered one day, and so you completely drop the whole thing, it just falls back down the hill again. But when it's inspired action from here, when you've like got that information from here, it kind of comes outwards. It's easier to go downhill than uphill. And your outer world has absolutely no choice but to reflect your inner world when this is all unblocked, okay? When you're very clear about your vision, it's like the water just cascades down and floods your world. So I tried to leave this toxic marriage many times before, but I hadn't actually done the work. So I went back to it because my inner world felt more safe and secure in that toxic environment than it did out on its own. But when I actually decided to go, it took me a year to do the little steps that got me physically and emotionally and mentally prepared for life as a single person out in the world. And yeah, and I stayed away, and I've never been happier in my life doing what I feel is my purpose. Yeah. So I want that for you too. I really, really do. And there are many ways that I can help you to do that. But I want to talk to you about one way that has come to me, It's like inspired for me. It's one of my labors of love. And it's the program that I am going to be launching, and it starts on the 8th of August, which is the 888 portal. Now, this year is an 8 year, 2 and 2 and 4 is 8 numerologically. So the 8-8 portal this year is going to be part workful. Okay. So now last year I did the 7-7 portal as a week-long container, and one or two of you here were part of that. But it was just a week, and I charged £77 for that one because I was partnered with an English woman based in the UK. And I said at that point, well, next year's the 8-8, I've got to do something for that. So what's come to me, it's all about the eights. So if you want to know what how long is it, what's it cost, blah, 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 I think eights. It's going to be 8 weeks of live lessons, coaching, bonus little sessions, journaling stuff. Journaling and meditation is the key to life and untangling all of this and accessing your higher self. So yeah, I'm going to lead you in live meditations, which you'll have access to do yourself, journal prompts, weekly sessions where I talk through things we can do to unblock these pieces, and it's accountability and support. But it's not just those 8 weeks. That's the intensive part. You're a part of it forever then. I'm going to leave the container open for people to come into and access that support. And because it's the first time I've done it in a beta program, then yeah, I mean, the price is going to be, like, I think, incredible for the results that you'll be getting from it if you do the work. So I'm going to be after Friday, it's going to be €888 for this. So do a calculation to your own currency, because that will go down to something about £800 if you're in the UK. But yeah, if you're in the EU, it's in euros. I don't know what it would be in dollars. I have absolutely no Scooby-Doo, but Google will tell you. But it's the change. It's this change. It's going to access your higher self. You're going to have a very clear vision of your way forward. Okay. So after Friday, it's going to be €888. But for you guys on this workshop, there's a special deal. And I'm going to offer it to you guys for 777. 777 is a very special number for me. My birthday is 6777. 6 is the July 77. So yeah, it feels right for me to offer you guys who came to hear this message that you can access that for 8 weeks plus forever, as long as I'm alive. You access all that for 777. If finances are an issue, but you really feel compelled to do this, then talk to me and we can work out some kind of payment plan. Okay. So I don't want money to be a barrier, but equally it has to be a fair energy exchange, to really get the value. So what else do I need to say about that? Yes, as well as the early bird bonus of the reduction in price, if you do join this program by Friday, then you'll get a free one-to-one to kick off your journey, so we can really drill down and start to find the way in what your life path is. That's my superpower, is finding what your zone of genius, what your soul's calling is. So, and that's best done in well, with my methodology, with my cards, doing some journaling, some meditations, all of these things, and a few other little tips and tricks. Now, make no mistake, this is going to require work from you between sessions. You don't just come to sessions, have a mindset shift and go back to your life and do exactly the same things as you were doing before. That would be pointless. So there's going to be stuff, and your life will change. But that's the point of this. Why would you do a program and not want to change your life? So that is my promise to you. Any questions, do pop them in the chat, do me a private message or something. What I'm going to do here is, if you want to take advantage of this, when I say book by Friday, I'm going to invite you to a clarity call with me if this is something that you want to do. Wrong link. So do book that clarity call ASAP, because obviously we need to get you on board before the launch on the 8th. Now the 8th seems like it's a couple of weeks away. It is a couple of weeks away, but it will go like that because that's what happens with time. So thank you very much for coming and listening. I will stop the recording now, but afterwards you will get your chance to ask questions in the open floor in confidence. And if you are watching the recording and think, oh crap, I could have asked a question, you should have turned up live. But you can always DM me if you have any questions or want to chat to me. Okay, thank you very much for listening.